Hello, crafty friends. This is Jessica Lewis with Scrap Sprinkle Crop. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I welcome you to my video tutorial. Today I'm going to be featuring a card that uses the Brilliant Rainbow dies, and it was inspired by this last week's TGIF challenges, and today is Monday, May 2nd. We're already in May. Wow. And there's a new catalog coming out, a new Stampin' Up! Catalog tomorrow, May 3rd. So if you are not aware of that yet, be sure to come back tomorrow and I will have a new blog post up featuring lots of resources and just getting you ready for a new catalog. Okay, moving on. So I have a card that I'm going to show you. And let me go ahead and show you what I'm featuring. All right, here we are. This is the little Make-A-Wish card. It's a little birthday card that I created for this week. And I love the copper foil rainbows. These are the large rainbows, and you can see it has a little bit of texture, sheen, and shine. Lots of different elements happening here. Here's the inside of the card. It's simple but cute, okay? And I'm going to show you how to create this. So let's go ahead, and before I get started, I'm going to show you the Party Puffins. This is the Party Puffin stamp set, and I used this stamp set, page 67 of the 2021-2022 annual catalog. And so this thankfully is retiring over into the new catalog, so you can order it if you would like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'll put my finished card right here, and I'm going to come in with, I have a scrap piece of paper, and I have a 5.5 by 4 inch piece of basic white cardstock. And what I did is I used some Post-it note tape. I have that right here. This is my Post-it note tape that I use pretty much in every video, but I used this to cover the two sides here. That's why it's 5.5 by 4. When you are done with your project, you're going to trim it down to 5.25, and then it's already at 4, so you don't have to worry about trimming the width, just the length. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So let me move my card aside because I don't want to get it dirty. But I'm going to bring in a few colors. I have 3 different colors that I'm bringing in. And I'm going to start off with, let's see, I have 3 colors. And I'm probably going to start with the Coastal Cabana. So these are the 3 colors that we're using. Coastal Cabana, Blushing Bride, and Fresh Freesia. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Coastal Cabana on the left side. And so I have my blending brush here, and I'm just going to ink up my brush. I guess I need to remove my little sticky note. And I'm going to start on this corner here. And I'm going to work in such a way where the bottom part is going to be wider. It's going to be inked up a little bit wider. And as I work my way up, it'll be more narrow. Hopefully you can see that. And you're just going to keep adding. Keep adding from the top to the bottom until you are happy with your outcome. I'm going to keep adding like this. These blending brushes are so nice and soft. They're very simple and gentle on your wrists. Okay, I think that's how I'm going to leave that there. I'll set aside my Coastal Cabana, and I'm going to bring in my Blushing Bride and ink this one up. So this is my light red. I'm going to ink this up, and I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. And I'm just going to tie that in with the Coastal Cabana, like this. Blend, blend, blend. So what I'm doing is I'm going to create a bouquet background. If you haven't heard of this kind of background, it's actually used in photography where you have some, I don't know how you describe it, in the background you have some faint spots, blurry spots. That's the word I was looking for, something blurry. It's blurred in some areas. Okay, I think that's good with the Blushing Bride. Now I'm going to come in with my fresh freesia right here. Here's my fresh freesia. Ink it up real good, and I'm going to do the same. A little bit narrow on the top. I'm sorry, narrow. Yeah, narrow on the top and wide at the bottom. And I didn't do this for a particular reason. I just like, I was just going for a different, some different angles instead of having to do straight lines up and down. So that's why I did a little bit wider on the bottom and more narrow on the top. Let's get some here on the top. I wanted a little bit darker here on the top. And I'm probably going to come back because I want it a little bit more wider with my Blushing Bride. So I'm going to come back with that one and ink it up from the top. And there you go. Blend it in real good. This color combination is very soft and very pretty. I really like it. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and set my ink pads and blending brushes aside. Okay, and like I said, you're going to take this, actually we're not done, so let's keep that there. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Now I'm bringing in some Whisper White craft ink, and I've got a sponge dauber, and I have a piece of window sheet. Now you see that I cut out some circles, and I just used my layering circles dies, which I have right here. These are my layering circles dies. I took different sizes and I cut it out of this window sheet, and I left it dirty for you so you can see through it and what I did. They're just randomly placed. And so what I did is I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it randomly on my sheet here that I just finished, and I'm going to tap my dauber into my craft ink, and I'm going to add some ink in the circles, these circles that I have here. Just do a circular motion and tap it in there and add plenty of that ink. And you're going to do this randomly throughout your background piece, like that. Okay, and so you can see the spots here and there in different areas, and I'm just gonna take it and I'm going to move it around randomly again, and I'm going to just keep adding that white ink all throughout. And what you do want these circles to overlap. That's how you're going to get that bouquet effect. Okay, and you're just going to keep going till you get the effect that you like. I even used my dauber here, and I took it and just spun a little circle, and you can see that you have a few spots here and there. Okay, so you're going to keep working on that till you get it how you like. And because I don't want to spend too much time, I'm going to go ahead and provide you with the finished piece. You can see, if I angle it right, you can see those circles. Hopefully you can see them. Okay, and so this is our finished piece. Now I'm going to bring in a piece of basic white cardstock, and this measures 8.5 by 5.5. Right? Golly, how come I cannot remember? This is basic. Yeah, it should be 8.5 by 5.5. Okay. I'm just going to score it in half. Just your basic card base. And we're going to have it open this direction. And I'm also going to bring in, we're going to cut out 2 pieces of black cardstock, and that measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. One for the front, one for the back. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and place this. Let me see. Okay. I'm going to place this on my card front. Excuse me. Go ahead and put this on my card front, and I'm going to see if I can lay it down a little bit better. All right, and then we're going to take our piece. You have to make sure you let that white ink dry, so give it a few minutes to dry before you get started on the layering and putting it together on your card front. Okay, because it does take some time to dry. Okay, so this is what you have so far. And now we're going to cut out the rainbows. And to do that, I have some copper foil, and I have the Brilliant Rainbow dies. And this Brilliant Rainbow die, I'm going to be using the large one, okay? And we're going to cut out, we're going to cut out all 4 pieces, but we're going to use the 3 smallest pieces because this one doesn't fit onto the card front. So we need these 3 smaller pieces. And the trick to this is you're going to have to get one set of pieces that face this direction and another set of pieces that face this direction. So in order to do that, you need to cut your foil one time. You're going to cut it through and run it through normal. And then the second time, you're going to get another piece and you're going to cut it through with the paper side down. Okay, so I've already cut out my 3 pieces that are facing the normal direction, like this, when I cut it out. Now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to bring my Stampin' Cut over. Here's my Stampin' Cut. Hopefully you can see. Okay, now I'm going to place this down like so, and I'm going to run it through my embossing machine. And I need to explain to you something that I discovered as I was making this. So, if you'll notice, we have all our pieces cut out. So I have my regular pieces. You can see these here. They look nice and clean. And then these pieces have some texture to them. Can you see that? So in order for me to have texture on all of them, I'm going to take this one out. In order for me to have texture on all of them, I'm going to run them. And the reason they have texture is because this has been used quite a bit. You can see that I use my die cutting machine almost every day, and it's going to have some texture to it. In order for me to get good texture on all these pieces, I'm just going to flip them all over and I'm going to run them through my machine again. And that's just going to give everything a nice even texture. And it even looks cool, really. So here we are. Here's the finished pieces. Okay, let me go ahead and just move my embossing machine over. So this is you don't need an embossing machine. I'm sorry, an embossing folder for this. It just kind of comes naturally. Okay, so now that we have that, we can go ahead and assemble our little rainbow pieces. And in order to do that, I'm going to take the two matching sides. I'm going to flip them over and I'm going to grab a little bit of tape and I'm going to adhere that piece of tape backside of the top and match it up with the other rainbow, and it ties together. Okay, I'm going to do that again. It has to be a thin piece, that way you won't have to trim it off. Backside here, and then match the rainbow and adhere that. Okay, one more time. Take the back side, put some tape on there, and then match it up with the other side. And there you have your full rainbow pieces. Okay, so now all we have to do is we're going to take some dimensionals and bring this back here. I have the regular dimensionals, I'll use those. And I'm going to place my dimensionals on my rainbow. I'm going to do this for all three of them. Okay, and what this does, it just gives it that dimension. You can choose not to do this and it'll still look fine. I'm going to place my rainbow on the center of my card and then press it down. Hold on, not ready. Not ready. I have to make sure I have good, okay, now I can press it down. All right, now I'm going to do this one. Put a few dimensionals here. I'll probably add a couple more. I like putting dimensionals in areas that have the tendency of just falling in. I want to make sure it's nice and stable throughout the life of this card. And that looks good. Okay, now I'm going to have, I probably just need 3 for this small rainbow, 1 in the middle and then 2 on the sides. Okay, and then I'll put that down. All right. Oh, it's looking good. I love that texture. What do you think? That looks really pretty on that copper foil. Okay. Now I have a piece of basic cardstock, basic white cardstock, and I stamped my little cake image with Memento black ink. And I'm going to show you how to color him. I used a few markers. I'm going to start off with the candle, and I'm going to use my Stampin' Blends. I have the Daffodil Delight combo and the Pumpkin Pie combo. The Daffodil Delight is what I'm going to start with. Actually, no, I'm going to start with Pumpkin Pie. I had to think about it for a while. Okay, so I'm going to start with the fine tip of the light marker, and I'm going to mark the line on those candles. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the dark and just put the dot at the very bottom. And what that's going to do is just going to make it darker towards the bottom. Then I'm going to grab my light, Daffodil Delight. Oh, I grabbed my brush tip. Let me get the bullet tip since it's so small. And I'm just going to blend in at the top. Okay, it really is nothing to it. That's all there is. I didn't even use my dark Daffodil Delight. Then I'm going to bring in my bronze marker. This bronze marker, I'm just going to use it for the candles themselves and the little plate here. Just fill it in and color that in. And then I probably go in a couple of times more at the very bottom to get that, just to get a little bit darker shade on the bottom of the plate. Then I'm going to take I have my Coastal Cabana Stampin' Right marker. We don't have any blends, so that's why I'm using a Stampin' Right marker. And I'm going to color the bottom of the icing. Okay, and I'm going to go over it one more time on the bottom, just a little curvy side. That gives it a little bit of shading. Here's my Blushing Bride marker, and I'm going to do the same thing. Fill it in with my brush, and then go back again with the little curvy part at the bottom. It gives a little bit of shading. Let's see if you can see it here a little bit closer. Okay, you see that shading there? Okay, so that's the extent of the coloring that we're doing. Now you're going to take some shimmery crystal effects, and you guys, I'm so sad that this is retired. This is almost retired, almost officially retired, but it will be retiring for the old catalog and will not be available in the new catalog. So I don't even know if it's still available in the store, but if you have some, you're gonna bring it out and you're going to fill in the areas for the icing. And what this does, it just gives it a little bit of extra shine, a little bit of texture, and some dimension to your cake. Okay, you're going to let that dry for some time because this takes a little bit of time to dry, but here you go. Here you have the finished product. Doesn't that cake look so cute? Looks good enough to eat. Okay, now I have a finished one. You are going to have to fussy cut this out because we don't have any dies for it, but take your time to do that. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dimensional or two, and I'm going to place this at the bottom of my rainbow like that. Okay, super duper cute. Okay, now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to put these clouds. I'm going to use the same dies, the Brilliant Rainbow dies, and I'm going to cut out these clouds out of basic white cardstock. And then I'm going to run them through the embossing folder that is called, here's the embossing folder. It's the Time Worn Type embossing folder. So it's a very textury kind of embossing folder. And if you look closer, you can see these have a little bit of texture to them. I thought that was really cool. Okay, so all you're going to need is a little bit of glue dots. And I'm going to grab my big one and place this guy right here. And then take another one and place this little guy right here. And then on my card, my original card, I just put one cloud about right here. I didn't really mess with this one. You can add as many as you like, really. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the more difficult, more tedious part. It's really not that hard. It's the Make-A-Wish. So now there's no actual dies for that word, those sets of words. So I had to kind of do a little bit of trimming and and put them together. I used the Amazing Thanks dies. I used the Thanks Are Amazing. I did not use the U. Okay, so you just need these three dies. And you're going to cut them out on black cardstock. So here's the Thanks Are Amazing. You're going to cut out two Amazing, one Thanks, and one Are. And these areas that I circled here are the letters that you're going to need to make your word Make-A-Wish. Okay, this is going to be your W. That's why you need another Amazing backwards, upside down. So you're going to need the H, K, S, A, E, M, A, I, and then our W. Okay, you're going to do that in black and you're going to do it in white. If you'll notice, I add a little white shading to the back side of the letters. Okay, so you're going to do that. So I have the letters all ready for you. I already cut them out, and I have the different sets here, and I'm going to show you how I did this with the letter A. The A, the black A, is going to go, well, if you were smarter than I am, you would use some adhesive sheets first of all, and you wouldn't have to do this. So I'm going to take some Tombow glue, and I'm just going to put a couple of drops in the back here. It doesn't take much. And then I'm going to adhere the white piece on the back. And what I'm doing is I'm offsetting it just slightly to give that white, to show that white. You see that? Okay, trying to offset it a little bit more. You have some time with the Tombow glue to slide it over before it dries. So that's essentially what I did with all of my letters that you see here. Okay, so all we're going to have to do is adhere them. And I have my handy dandy tool. It's a reverse, I'm not sure what it's called, but I can always link to it. I really like this tool. Unfortunately, it's not made by Stampin' Up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm put a little bit more of my glue on the back side, and then I'm going to place the edge of the A where that seam is on the top rainbow. And it takes a little bit of time to dry, so I'm going to let that set. I'm going to grab my K and do the same thing. And I'm going to place it right on top of the A, actually. That one's kind of going, let's see. Oh, you got to take your time and do it right. And you might just move them around until you get them in place. And I'm going to take my E, do the same thing, and I'll place it here. I just remembered the word. These are called tweezers. Reverse tweezers, maybe? I think that's what they're called. Okay, so let that set for a moment. And we might need to go over it a little bit more. Here is the other A, and I'm just setting it on top of that seam on the rainbow. And then we'll do our bottom word, wish. I'm going to put the W quite a bit over here because it's we're going to need some space for these other letters. Here you go. I'm going to put the I over here, and the S is probably the one that's going to be covering the seam very slightly. And I'm only putting adhesive in the middle of the letters, as you can see that, let's see, the letters are, oh my goodness, takes some time to dry. So anyway, what I was saying is that the adhesive is only going to be needed like in the center of the letter because you have your rainbow on there. And so I feel like I need to scoot my letters over maybe. Let's see if I can still do that. Yes, I can. I'm scooting my letters over a little bit. This one's going to be a little bit higher. So you just got to play with it a little bit to set it in place however you'd like. But I think this looks pretty good. What do you think? I'm just kind of pressing it down here. Give it a chance to dry. Okay, and that's it for the front of the card. I hope you like that. It's very cute. Okay, and we're just going to finish off the back side of the card. And in order to do that, I have another piece of basic black cardstock that measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And I'm going to place some adhesive on the back side. And place it inside here like that. Might have been a little crooked. And then I have my other piece. I went ahead and stamped my little party puffin and my happy birthday sentiment using some Memento black ink. I have that already stamped, and I'm going to color it. And I'm going to bring in some of the same colors that I used earlier. And that would be, I have my 3 Stampin' Right markers. I'm going to start off with the little hat, and I'm going to use the Coastal Cabana brush end, and I'm going to just color his little party hat. Probably just do a couple of colors here, and then come in with the Blushing Bride. Put a little bit here, and some Fresh Freesia, and just color that in. And I'm going to leave the rest of it white. Now I'm going to bring in my pumpkin pie Stampin' Blends that we used on the front of the card. I'm going to start off with the lightest color. We're going to do a little bit of blending. I'm going to color about that far of his feet, and then I'm going to color this area of his beak. Come back with the dark, and then just color the top of his foot and the outline, the edge of his beak, as well as this edge of the beak. Okay, come back again with my light and color the whole thing. And what that's going to do, it's going to blend everything, and then it's also going to give a lighter color at the edge of his feet versus the tops of his feet. Just going to blend this in over here. Okay, so that would be it. You can see it a little bit closer. You can see a little bit of that shading here and the shading on his beak. Just a little bit of touch, and the rest is for a sentiment. So this is the finished card. I hope you enjoy this little video tutorial, and that you will like and comment and let me know what you think about this creation. So thank you so much for joining me today. As always, I do have a blog, and this blog is at, that's the wrong one, scrapsprinklecrop.blogspot.com. So don't hesitate to message me, and there's lots of links there. And so thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day.